Okay, today is the 3rd of September, and this is the 45th time we are talking on the Majjhima Nikaya Suttas. Now we come to Sutta 111, Anupada Sutta, one by one as they occurred. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's spa. There he addressed the monks thus, "Monks, Venerable Sir," they replied. The Blessed One said, "Monks, Sariputta is wise. Sariputta has great wisdom. Sariputta has wide wisdom. Sariputta has joyous wisdom. Sariputta has quick wisdom. Sariputta has keen wisdom. Sariputta has penetrative wisdom." During half a month, monks, Sariputta had insight into states one by one as they occurred. Now, Sariputta's insight into states one by one as they occurred was this. Dear monks, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the first jhana, which is accompanied by applied and sustained thought, with delight and pleasure born of seclusion. And the states in the first jhana, the applied thought, the sustained thought, the delight, the pleasure, and the unification of mind, the contact, feeling, perception, volition, and mind, the zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose. Known they were present, known they disappeared. He understood thus, so indeed these states, not having been, come into being. Having been, they vanish. Regarding those states, he abided unattracted, unrepelled, independent, detached, free, dissociated, with a mind rid of barriers. He understood there is an escape beyond, and with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. Again, monks, with the stilling of applied and sustained thought, Sariputta entered and abided in the second jhana, which has self-confidence and singleness of mind, without applied and sustained thought, with delight and pleasure born of concentration. And the states in the second jhana, the self-confidence, the delight, the pleasure, and the unification of mind, the contact, feeling, perception, volition, and mind, the zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose. Known they were present. Known they disappeared. He understood thus. So indeed, these states, not having been, come into being. Having been, they vanish. Regarding those states, he abided unattracted, unrepelled, independent, detached, free, dissociated, with a mind rid of barriers. He understood there is an escape beyond, and with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. Stop here for a moment. This Venerable Sariputta, after he came to the Buddha, became a disciple of a Buddha, he strove very hard and attained the jhanas. And after he attained the jhanas, about 2 weeks after he had become the Buddha's disciple, he was listening to the Buddha talk to an external ascetic, and he was fanning the Buddha. Just from listening there, he attained liberation, became an arahant. So here the Buddha says, during half a month, monk Sariputta had insight into states one by one. Maybe it's during that time. So here you find the description of in the first jhana and the second jhana, the applied thought, sustained thought, delight, pleasure, unification of mind, contact, feeling, perception, volition, and mind, zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose. Known they were present. Known they disappeared. So indeed, he understood. So indeed, these states, not having been, come into being. Having been, they vanish. Regarding those states, he abided unattracted, unrepelled, independent, etc. So this description of the jhana is very different from what some monks say. Some monks say that in the state of jhana, you have no mindfulness. You are like in a trance state. That is what those people who have not attained jhana, they say. This is their idea of jhana. So it is not like that. In the state of jhana, the monk is very mindful, even more so in the third and fourth jhana. The other thing you have to know is that the jhana of the suttas, as mentioned here, is very different from the jhana in the Visuddhimagga. Visuddhimagga is a later book, and the way they describe jhana is different from here. There is a very interesting book called The Experience of Jhana by an American. It's a new book, and people who are interested in meditation should read that book. We have copies of it in the library. Again, monks, with the fading away as well of delight, Sariputta abided in equanimity, mindful and fully aware, still feeling pleasure with the body. He entered upon and abided in the third jhana, on account of which noble ones announced, he has a pleasant abiding, who has equanimity and is mindful. And the states in the third jhana, the equanimity, the pleasure, the mindfulness, the full awareness, and the unification of mind, the contact, feeling, perception, volition, and mind, the zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose. Known, they were present. Known, they disappeared. He understood thus, etc. And with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. Again, monks, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the fourth jhana, which has neither pain nor pleasure, an utter purity of mindfulness and equanimity. And the states in the fourth jhana, the equanimity, the neither painful nor pleasant feeling, the mental unconcern due to tranquility, the complete or utter purity of mindfulness, and the unification of mind, the contact, feeling, perception, volition, and mind, the zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose. Known, they were present. Known, they disappeared. He understood thus. So indeed, these states, not having been, come into being. Having been, they vanish. Regarding those states, he abided unattracted, unrepelled, independent, detached, free, dissociated, with mind rid of various. He understood that there is an escape beyond. And with the cultivation of the attainment, he confirmed that there is. Stop here for a moment. So you see the description of the third jhana, mindful and fully aware, and even more so in the fourth jhana, it says this utter purity of mindfulness and equanimity, the parisuddhi is utter purity of this sati and upeka, utter purity of mindfulness. So this sati or this mindfulness or recollection is most pure in the fourth jhana. Again, monks, with the complete surmounting of perceptions of form, with the disappearance of perceptions of sensory impact, with non-attention to perceptions of diversity, aware that space is infinite, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the base of infinite space. And the states in the base of infinite space, the perception of the base of infinite space, and the unification of mind, the contact, feeling, perception, volition, and mind, the zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose. Known, they were present. Known, they disappeared. He understood thus, as before. So indeed, these states, not having been, come into being. Having been, they vanish, etc. Again, monks, by completely surmounting the base of infinite space, aware that consciousness is infinite, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the base of infinite consciousness, and the states in the base of infinite consciousness, the perception of the base of infinite consciousness, and the unification of mind, the contact, feeling, perception, volition, and mind, the zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose. Known, they were present. Known, they disappeared. He understood thus, as before. So indeed, these states, not having been, come into being. Having been, they vanish, etc. Again, monks, by completely surmounting the base of infinite consciousness, aware that there is nothing, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the base of nothingness. And the states in the base of nothingness, the perception of the base of nothingness, and the unification of mind, the contact, feeling, perception, volition, and mind, the zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose. Known, they were present. Known, they disappeared, etc., etc. Stop here for a moment. You observe in this section 11, or paragraph 11, with the complete surmounting of perceptions of form, that means what is seen, and with the disappearance of perceptions of sensory impact. This sensory impact, or what is sense, refers to the smell, the taste, and the touch. In the next sutta that we are coming to, it is specified there. So basically here, what is seen, smell, tasted, touch, and not mentioned here, the heard also. These five senses, they close. So when a person attains arupa jhana, the lowest being the base of infinite space, he is no more aware of the five sense doors. So it is only in the arupa jhana that the five sense doors close. Okay, now we come to paragraph 17. Again, monks, by completely surmounting the base of nothingness, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the base of neither perception nor non-perception. He emerged mindful from that attainment. Having done so, he contemplated the past states which had ceased and changed thus. So indeed, these states, not having been, come into being. Having been, they vanish. Regarding those states, he abided unattracted, unrepelled, independent, detached, free, dissociated, with the mind rid of barriers. He understood there is an escape beyond, and with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. Stop here for a moment. You see here the difference between this base of neither perception or non-perception compared to the others. In this base of neither perception nor non-perception, sometimes there is perception, that means consciousness, sometimes there is none. So he is not aware like the previous states. In the previous states, I mentioned about the perception, the contact, feeling, perception, volition, mind, the zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined one by one as they occurred. This one is absent in the base of neither perception nor non-perception. This is different this from the others in that the perception or the consciousness is sometimes there, sometimes not there. So he is not aware of these things. Again, monks, by completely surmounting the base of neither perception nor non-perception, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the cessation of perception and feeling, and his stains were destroyed by his seeing with wisdom. He emerged mindful from that attainment. Having done so, he recalled the past states which had ceased and changed thus. So indeed, these states, not having been, come into being. Having been, they vanish. Regarding those states, he abided unattracted, unrepelled, independent, detached, free, dissociated, with the mind rid of barriers. He understood there is no escape beyond, and with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is not. Monks, rightly speaking, were it to be said of anyone, he has attained mastery and perfection in noble virtue, Attain mastery and perfection in noble concentration. Attain mastery and perfection in noble wisdom. Attain mastery and perfection in noble liberation. It is of Sariputta indeed that, rightly speaking, this should be said. Monks, rightly speaking, were it to be said of anyone, he is the son of the Blessed One, born of his breast, born of his mouth, born of the Dhamma, created by the Dhamma, and heir in the Dhamma, not an heir in material things. It is of Sariputta indeed that, rightly speaking, this should be said. Monks, the matchless wheel of the Dhamma set rolling by the Tathagata is kept rolling rightly by Sariputta. That is what the Blessed One said. The monks were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. That's the end of the sutta. So, in paragraph 19, the Buddha says that remember Sariputta attained the cessation of perception and feeling, and his taints were destroyed by seeing wisdom. Actually, his taints were destroyed when he was listening to the Buddha speak to the external ascetic. What was his name? Diganaka or something. And he attained liberation. That means his taints were destroyed. But here, I guess every time a monk, a cultivator, when he enters the state of cessation of perception and feeling, when he comes out of it, as mentioned here, the taints are destroyed. Because the taints, the asavas, is the tendency of the mind to flow, the tendency of consciousness to flow. But when a person attains a cessation of perception and feeling, it means a cessation, feeling, consciousness, everything stops. The sixth consciousness stops. And when he comes out of it, there is no more that tendency for the consciousness to flow. And because when he comes out of that state, he realizes very well that the whole world only exists in the sixth consciousness, just like a dream. So these uncontrolled mental outflows stop. Then also it is mentioned here, there is no escape beyond. That means there's no higher state than the cessation of perception and feeling. The cessation of perception and feeling is the highest meditative state that anyone can attain. And when someone attains that state and he comes out of it, he becomes an arahant. This cessation of perception and feeling, not all arahants can attain it. The minimum meditative state to become an arahant is the 4 jhanas. But to attain this cessation of perception and feeling, a monk has to attain the arupa jhanas, arupas. So only those monks who can attain all the arupa jhanas, they can manage to attain this cessation of perception and feeling. So in paragraph 21, you see the Buddha's high praise for Sariputta. I don't think any other disciple the Buddha praises so highly. He says, Sariputta is a master and perfect in virtue, concentration and samadhi and liberation. Attain mastery and perfection in virtue, concentration, wisdom. These 3 things, sila, samadhi, panya, are the basics of the Noble Eightfold Path, the holy path. Also, the Buddha says he is the son of the Blessed One and heir to the Dhamma. And the Venerable Sariputta turns the Dhamma wheel exactly like the Buddha turns. So, of all the arahants, the Buddha praises the Venerable Sariputta the most, the highest. And this is very different from the Mahayana books. The Mahayana books are always trying to put down Venerable Sariputta because he sort of disgraced this Devadatta and he told being instructed by the Buddha, he told the lay people that Devadatta is no more a disciple of the Buddha. Whatever he says and does It's nothing to do with the Buddha. So all the followers of Devadatta hate this Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana. The other thing I like to point out is that later books like commentaries, they say that Venerable Sariputta was liberated by wisdom. And they say that among liberated by wisdom has no jhana. But you see from very clearly from here, even though Venerable Sariputta is liberated by wisdom, he has all the jhanas. And the Buddha has stated in several suttas that to become an arahant or even an anagamin, you need at least 4 jhanas. There is no arahant without 4 jhanas. But later books like the commentaries, they talk about the dry vision arahant, the pure vipassana arahant. There's no such thing in the suttas. All the arahants have at least the 4 jhanas. And here you can see Venerable Sariputta, even though he was liberated by wisdom, he has the 4 rupa jhanas, he has the 4 arupa jhanas, and he has cessation of perception and feeling. All the meditative states. That's why the Buddha says here that he has attained mastery and perfection in noble concentration. So this is a very important sutta in the sense that a monk who has attained liberation by wisdom, he possesses the jhanas.